All right, guys, welcome back to the stream. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome if you are new here. Thank you so much for joining me today. And thank you so much, as always, for waiting patiently for the intro to do what it does. Gives time for people to file in and for me to get my coffee and clearly for boss to wake up. So today we have actually quite a bit to discuss and talk about. Like, I feel like maybe a little bit more than normal. I don't know that that necessarily means this will translate into a longer stream. It'll probably be about the same length as usual. I am planning on doing another members lounge after today's episode as well. But we are going to be talking about a breaking news report regarding Bungie that just came out, I think like 20 minutes ago, 15 minutes ago, something like that. Sounds like, frankly, the shit is really hitting the fan over at Bungie, which I feel like we kind of knew that, but it seems like it might be getting worse. So we're going to have to discuss that. One of the major topics we are going to discuss today, probably I'd say the main topic, is PlayStation at the Game Awards. The Game Awards are happening tomorrow. Yes, I will be streaming it tomorrow live, but this I think would be a good opportunity to kind of speculate and predict as best we can what we could expect from Sony, right? We know that Sony is going to be at the Game Awards. Spider-Man 2 is nominated for Game of the Year, but I kind of want to reflect a little bit. I want to look back at last year's Game Awards and see how many things Sony revealed and kind of look at that to gauge how much maybe we could expect tomorrow night. We're going to be talking about The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered. Naughty Dog is giving us some new information on that. We're going to be talking about Hideo Kojima a little bit. We're also going to be talking about a couple of things that Sony said recently as well. So, yeah, quite a bit to go over and discuss here today. So before I get into any of these topics, I want to just first off thank everybody for tuning in and for watching again. If you could do me a big favor, if you enjoy these streams, if you enjoy the content, if you want to help out with the YouTube algorithm, just take a second of your time, hit that like button. It helps way more than you know. We're very close to 50 likes, so I greatly appreciate that. There are 3 ways you can support my channel and my content and this show directly, and they are as follows. You can become a channel member. If you become a channel member, you gain access to some exclusive perks, one of which is the Members Lounge. If you are already a channel member, even if you were gifted a membership, you have the ability to gift memberships yourself. It's a big thing we do here. I see that Jake Skew 27 gets us started today. He's been dropping a membership gift pretty much every stream, and I actually forgot to update my goal here. So you'll have to, that was actually yesterday's. Yeah, so you guys destroyed it yesterday, as you can see. My bad, I usually have that good to go before we go live, but not a big deal. Let me just correct that. And there we go. Jake, I'm gonna add your membership gift to the counter. So Jake Skew is getting us started today with a membership gift. Yesterday's members lounge was a pretty different one, pretty interesting one. We were reacting to some certainly content that I would not normally react to on any regular stream. So anybody who's gifted a membership today, go check out those previous member lounge episodes. But last but not least, you can support the channel by donating a super chat, ask a question, make a statement, give an opinion, anything in between. Not only keeps the conversations flowing in sometimes very interesting and unexpected directions, but it helps the channel out as well. So once again, a big thank you and a big shout out to this entire community, this entire audience, and everybody who supports this channel directly. If it wasn't for you guys, the content wouldn't exist. We have Daniel Pedroza, a member for 4 months. He says, I think it's safe to assume that Death Stranding 2 will definitely show up. Yeah, we're going to talk about that. I'm in agreement, Daniel. If there's one game that I feel pretty certain will show up tomorrow, it is Death Stranding 2. And I'll talk in a little bit about why I think that is. So, Daniel, I appreciate you sharing that, man, and I appreciate you being a member. We are going to dive into the first topic, which, again, this is kind of breaking news. What I'm reading to you, I'm hearing it for the first time as well. So I figured I would just kind of start with this. There's a report here, apparently, from IGN regarding Bungie, and apparently the atmosphere there is, quote, soul crushing. And there is a fear of a total Sony takeover, which is weird to me that that's being said, because it's like I'm not so sure that at this point that would be a bad thing. I mean, maybe it would be. I guess it would be when you consider that Bungie is, kind of known for doing their own thing to an extent. But I want to read this report from IGN. So it says here, 1 month after a major round of layoffs impacted roughly 100 Bungie employees. Of 1,200, those remaining at the Destiny developers say the cuts, as well as other cost-cutting measures, came alongside an apparent scramble by studio leadership to avoid a total Sony takeover. As it currently stands, Bungie is on paper a fully independent subsidiary of Sony, but its board of directors has been divided since the takeover in July of 2022. Among its current members are PlayStation Studios head Herman Hulst, Sony senior VP Eric Lempel, Bungie co-founder Jason Jones, Bungie CTO Louis Villegas, and Bungie CEO Pete Parsons. The board, as a whole, is split between Sony and Bungie representatives, with Parsons serving as a tiebreaker vote. And a massive ad just popped up directly in my screen. Thanks, IGN. You're amazing. I'm just trying to read this. Wow, it's a KFC ad too. That is egregious as hell. Made me totally lose my place. It says, but speaking to IGN under the condition of anonymity, multiple current and former Bungie employees described a department meeting that took place shortly after the layoffs, in which leaders hinted that this shared power may not last forever. Sony did not respond to IGN's request for a comment on this piece. Bungie also declined to comment. While the exact details of Sony's deal to acquire Bungie remain unknown to the public or employees, sources say they were told by leaders that the current split board structure is contingent on Bungie meeting certain financial goals. If Bungie falls short of certain financial goals by too great amount, Sony is allowed to dissolve the existing board and take full control of the company. And with Destiny 2 expansion, the final shape delayed into the next fiscal year, and Bungie still investing heavily on Marathon, many employees understand that Bungie is struggling to meet the necessary targets to keep the last vestige of freedom. Such a takeover wouldn't necessarily be shocking given its 2022 acquisition, but it would nevertheless be a stunning development for a company that has historically prided itself on its independence. It was with the threat looming that Bungie leadership, not Sony, according to Parsons, made the choice to lay off roughly 100 employees last month. But the cost cutting at Bungie isn't limited to just personnel. Multiple current employees confirmed to IGN that the company has implemented numerous other cost-cutting measures recently, including a studio-wide hiring freeze, reduced travel budgets, elimination of holiday bonuses, keeping its annual Bungie Day virtual, delaying its week-long company Pentalthon event to next December, and reducing numerous morale events such as cooking and knitting classes. What the hell are they doing over there? I'm sorry. That's just so weird. Is this like a widely known thing? They do knitting classes from monthly to quarterly. Bungie is also pausing or fully ending benefits like annual employee compensation adjustments to meet market rates. Its new hire lunch program, employee donation matching, its peer recognition program, and gift cards for employee birthdays and yearly studio performance bonuses this year will only be contractually obligated 80% minimum after being above 100% for good performance several previous years running. Along with the recent layoffs, this has resulted in a massive decay in morale within the company, according to IGN sources, one of whom told us that the mood within the studio has been soul-crushing over the last month, and it doesn't sound like management is making any significant efforts towards improving the atmosphere either. According to those within the company, employee frustration and sadness in the days and weeks following the layoffs were met with a surprising amount of indifference or even outright flippancy or hostility from management. Several people who spoke to us told us that the leaders had reiterated across multiple meetings that they couldn't guarantee there wouldn't be more layoffs, with two specifically recalling Chief People Officer Holly Barbakovi outright stating that the layoffs were a lever the company could pull again. We know we need final shape to do well, one source told IGN, and the feeling at the studio is that if it doesn't, we're definitely looking at more layoffs. Others said that they were rebuffed repeatedly and discouraged from even discussing the layoffs whenever they tried to ask questions. Employees in one department recalled a post-layoffs Q&A session where a department head was asked if leadership taking salary cuts to prevent layoffs had even been considered, only to respond that Bungie was not that type of company. What's more, sources we spoke to pointed out that many of the Bungie employees who were laid off were beloved community leaders within the studio, including many who had spearheaded employee inclusion and support efforts. Several people we spoke to expressed anger at the layoffs of Bungie, and General Counsel Don McGowan, who played a key role in Bungie winning its historic suit against the player who harassed a Bungie developer. Others laid off included a noticeable number of Bungie's DE&I clubs, including co-heads of Pride at Bungie, Women at Bungie, and Accessibility at Bungie. When combined with other recent resource cuts, these dismissals have led to fears that clubs might be shut down. While researching this article, IGN noted that the public news articles announcing Women at Bungie and Accessibility Bungie on its official blog were no longer accessible on the Bungie website, though it's unclear exactly when or why this happened, or if it's just an unintentional recurring bug with the blog. I'm angry, upset. This isn't what I came here to do, one person said. It feels like many higher-ups aren't listening to the data and are like, we just need to win our fans back. They still like us. No, they don't. We got rid of some of our most knowledgeable, beloved folks who have been here for 20 plus years. Every day I walk in afraid that I or my friends are next. No one is safe. This is the final piece of this article. It says Bungie eroding. Another anxiety source discussed with us that many of the reductions made at Bungie were recently part of a broader move toward outsourcing. Multiple individuals across various departments told us they'd heard discussions within their teams of plans to increase outsourcing both before and in the wake of the layoffs. One team where those discussions have already become a reality is in the quality assurance. While outsourcing QA is extremely common in this industry, Bungie historically has also enlisted an army of in-house embedded QA testers working within individual teams. It's a setup the studio has prided itself on for years now, but QA sources within the studio are now afraid that strategy is on its way out. We previously reported that Bungie's QA team saw a rash of mysterious departures in the months before the layoffs, and also noted a team-wide culture shift towards a general pool of testers consisting of both in-house and outsourced individuals. I'm going to skip down a little bit here to just the last paragraph. It says, in a year that will go down in gaming history due to the sheer number of layoffs and studio closures, Bungie's situation nonetheless stands out, and not for good reasons. It's a well-known, long-standing studio that, despite historic culture problems, has managed to cultivate an increasingly positive community of fans around a beloved game while improving its own internal culture by gradual degrees. But in the wake of an acquisition that shocked many Bungie employees we've spoken to, and which seemed out of character with the studio's independent streak, it feels to many like that's all falling apart. Beloved colleagues have been laid off, benefits are vanishing, and many feel the more people-oriented, as one source put it, culture of the recent years is being torn to pieces by the very Bungie leaders that touted it for so long. And seemingly all of those same leaders can retain a vestige of control over a company that's already been sold anyway. Folks still there are very much feeling us versus them between leadership and workers, one person said. That trust has been eroded. And that's it. So that's a pretty massive write-up from IGN. And to me, it is pretty obvious what's happening here. I think it's clear. I think it's clear to a lot of people working at Bungie right now. If it's not clear to, people on the outside, it should become clear now that Sony is going to take over Bungie. And I don't say that in a bad way. I'm not looking at Sony as like the bad guy for taking over Bungie. Sony did what every company is doing right now. They wanted to make a major acquisition. They acquired Bungie. What we learned through this IGN article, something very critical about the deal that was struck between the higher-ups of Bungie and the higher-ups at Sony. And that deal was a shared board where Pete Parsons, the CEO of Bungie, he is the tiebreaker. It is not a coincidence that the leadership at Bungie is pretty much ignoring their employees. It's not a coincidence that they are taking extreme cost-cutting measures. It is not a coincidence that the employees there are feeling a us versus them, kind of vibe in the air, because that's exactly what it is. It is the higher-ups at Bungie. They know what's going to happen. They see what's going to happen. They want to be part of it, and what that is that they want to be part of is they know that they're slipping. They know that they cannot save the sinking ship. They know that Sony's takeover is inevitable, and necessary. That's the key factor here. It is going to be necessary. The only reason Sony is going to have to completely absorb Bungie is to fucking keep them alive in some way, shape, or form. Now, I say that assuming that's what Sony's plan is ultimately going to be, but Sony could dissolve Bungie entirely. It would be a very, very, very bad look if Sony decided to do that. That's why I do not think they will do it. Can Sony manage a live service studio when Bungie itself can't? No, that's the thing. That's why I do kind of fear that Sony may actually dissolve Bungie entirely. But what they could do is just downscale Bungie so much that it's like, even if they kind of fail, like even if they can't turn it around, it's not going to be so detrimental. Well, no matter what, at the end of the day, it's detrimental to Sony because Sony paid, over $3 billion for the studio. Yeah, nearly $4 billion. This is a fucking disaster. Like I cannot sit here and look at what is happening, especially amid these reports. And I could tell you right now, Sony probably wants to fucking dissolve. Now, I don't want to say dissolve Bungie, but they definitely want to take over and try to fix this shit for them. And, it's a good question. Like, is Sony the one to fix Bungie when Sony has no experience? It doesn't matter at this point. Bungie can't fix Bungie. The leadership at Bungie doesn't know what they're doing. It's very obvious. The leadership at Bungie has pretty much ruined the goodwill that they've spent decades, building up with their community. They literally they literally laid off anybody at that studio that could have continued to generate goodwill, seemingly. They're creating a hostile, toxic, disruptive work environment within their studio. And meanwhile, you have Sony looking at them. I'm telling you, Sony is just sitting there waiting. The moment the numbers drop low enough, and that to me is the single most interesting thing we are learning here. The agreement between Bungie and Sony is not as... To me, it reveals that Sony was given way more power than what we initially thought. It's a joint board between Sony and Bungie, and the fact that Pete Parsons is the tiebreaker. So in other words, Pete Parsons is the one that can stop Sony from taking over. He is siding with Sony. I don't know if people see that. It is clear as day. Pete Parsons will make the necessary cuts. He is operating the exact way that Sony would expect him to operate, and he is getting in good with Sony. That's what he's doing. In my opinion, it's very obvious, and to me, that is a clear sign that he does not have the confidence in Bungie. He does not believe in his heart that Bungie is going to be able to turn this around. He believes that this is a sinking ship. He believes that at some point down the line, he is going to have to make that call where more people are going to have to get laid off, more cuts are going to have to be made, and if they hit that threshold, we don't know what that number is, but there's a threshold that if Bungie dips below it, Sony can then come in and say, we are taking over this ship because it's fucking sinking, and now we have to try to save it. So, the question as to whether or not Sony would be able to do that. If Bungie can't do it, can Sony? Probably not. In all honesty, no, probably not. I don't want to say that. See, at the end of the let's look at the worst case scenario here. The worst case scenario is Bungie as a studio actually completely dissolves in the next year or something or two. Like, they get taken over by Sony. Sony makes the, ballsy move, but very business-oriented move of, you guys are the biggest waste. Like, we just blew $3 billion. This studio has eroded, and we're shutting this shit down. If Sony did that, they would obviously still have a certain amount of employees that they would have to do something with. They would have the Bungie IP. They would have all of Bungie's IP. So if Bungie itself dissolved and eroded, I mean, truly, like again, worst case scenario, Sony still pretty much gets everything that Bungie was known for, and they can do with it what they will. Now, to me, that sounds horrible because it's like what is Sony going to do with Destiny without Bungie? What is Sony going to do with Marathon without Bungie? You know, see what I'm saying? Like, at the end of the day, it just seems like Sony bet on the wrong horse. The Bungie leadership, they have completely turned, man. It's not, again, it's not a coincidence when you look at the people that they've laid off. Look at the, what is it? The kind of like all this morale, all the studio morale boosting type of events that they're doing. They're not doing any of that. There's a divide. They drew the line. They said the shit is hitting the fan. We are the upper management. They're looking out for themselves. It's that simple, man. Pete Parsons and company, they're looking out for themselves because they know that if the worst happens, this is just human psychology. Pete Parsons and company know that if the worst happens with Bungie and they can't save Destiny and Marathon is a flop, right? And Bungie's fucking toast. Well, they'll probably have a place in Sony. That's just the way this shit goes. It's brutal. It's unforgiving, but it's business at the end of the day. Saying everything rides on Marathon? Probably. Zero Connection, a member for 3 months. He says, hi, MBG, do you think Sony will abandon its aggressive approach to games as a service roadmap or at the very least bank less on it? To be honest, no, I don't. And here's why. I've thought about this long and hard, and I realized that if there was ever a time for Sony to announce a change in strategy or a change in plan, it would have been during their most recent investor meeting, right? Or investor call, or their quarterly earnings report. My bad. Because we see everything that's happening. And they said we delayed 6 of our live service games. They need more time. However, one very important thing was noted. Hiroki Totoki, the current or the interim CEO, president of Sony, said that our strategy has not changed. Our plan has not changed. He just simply said that we just need more time to get the quality where it needs to be. The reason why I say this is because Sony is not going to stop making single-player games. That should be abundantly clear by now. They're not going to abandon that because it would be very stupid. It would be a very bad business decision to abandon single-player games. They have an entire platform that has built itself off of single-player games. They have studios that make single-player games. That will continue. But while that continues, like it always has and always will, everything else around that is going to be focused around we need to have some successful live service games. And it doesn't matter how long it takes. We will try and try and try again. And the reason why Sony will not give up is because Sony is too prideful. They are. And I don't necessarily think that that's a bad thing. Jake, you're saying you're off to work. Well, I appreciate you dropping that membership gift, man. And Serge, I'll get to your super chat in just a second. I don't think Sony is willing to look at themselves in this industry, knowing that they are the market leader, knowing how many studios they have, knowing how much prestige is around the PlayStation brand, the PS5 itself, and more importantly, the games. The way I see it is Sony feels entitled to an extent. And again, I know it sounds bad, but I don't think it's a bad thing. They feel entitled. Like they look at all of these other studios and all of these other super successful live service games, and they sit back and they say, we're fucking PlayStation. Why don't we have one of those? Like, why not? Like, why do we not have a successful live service game? And that is the number one, like, driving force where it's like, Sony believes, truly, like, they believe they can make a successful live service game. And that's why they're going all in. And even if every single one fails, they won't stop, because it's just I truly believe at this point that Sony's mentality towards live service games, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. It's a matter of when. When is Sony going to strike gold? They have the resources, they have the, to an extent, they have the time. They have the talent, at least it seems like it. But they're going to do it. It should be so clear why they're going to do it, because it makes more sense for Sony to try to get a live service game by just try again. You have the resources, you have the talent, spool it back up, try it again. It makes more sense for Sony to do it that way than do it the way that Microsoft did, because Sony can't buy. Like, they could, but it's way more risky at the end of the day for Sony to just say and they just look at what they just did with Bungie, right? The idea of, let's go buy Ubisoft, they have a successful live service game or two, or Square Enix, they have a successful live service game. First off, they have to want to be purchased, and you're making a huge risk, because you're not just getting one or two live service games, you're getting all of those employees, you're getting all of that IP. It's a lot more. It's a lot more than you may have bargained for. And it's not even that you're bargaining for it, you're paying for it. I'll tell you right now, Sony is likely just going to hunker down, man, after what's happening with Bungie, and say, fuck it, we'll do it ourselves. We'll have to do it the hard way. We're going to put out some shitty live service games. They're going to fail. So be it. We'll get back up. We'll try again. We'll learn. But we try. I mean, and you can't, if Sony does that, you can't blame them, because it's like, you went out there and you bought Bungie, and look at what happened. It's true. It's true that Sony right now is probably asking themselves, if Bungie can't make this shit work, then who can? Well, anybody who can, they're not for sale. So I really think this is a sign of what's to come, not only with Bungie, but with their live service in general. You're saying, what are you talking about? Sony wasted $5 billion. Well, yeah, but that's the thing. Sony, you're right. They may have they clearly wasted billions of dollars on Bungie. So I'm highlighting that, where that's even more of a reason where, if you're going to try to have a successful live service, you're better off doing it yourself. Because Sony, look, we look at The Last of Us multiplayer, and we can assume Sony lost money on that. Years of development, AAA Naughty Dog game. I can tell you right now, the money that they have to now write off, I guess. I don't know what we don't know what's going to happen yet, but the money that they lost, or that has been sunk into that development, pales in comparison to what they dumped into Bungie. So I guess I'm just trying to say that at this point, it is not only cheaper, but also less risky, not from a reputational standpoint, mind you, just from a financial standpoint, to just try to get their own fucking studios to figure it out. Now, I'm not saying that means they should just force all of their studios to get it together and figure it out. No, but there's a reason why The Last of Us multiplayer has not been, as of right now, and as I'm saying this, will probably be announced tomorrow. There's a reason why it hasn't been canceled. There's a reason why the lead developer on it says, I'm still working on it. It's because they're not giving up on it. They know that they can do it. They just need to get it right. They need to get the pieces to fit together. They thought Bungie was going to be the people to bring in that'll do that for them. And Bungie isn't doing that, because they can't even do it for themselves. So now Sony has to reevaluate not their live service strategy. They have to reevaluate how they're going to execute it, how they're going to get these games where they need to be successful. And that's the hard part. And that is truly the hard part. And you know how I feel about it? I feel that Sony should just try to trust their studios. That's what I think. I think if you're going to ask one of your studios to make a live service game, just trust them. Understand that there will be mistakes made, there will be fuck-ups, but I do believe the number one most important thing for a live service game is that direct line of communication with the audience, with the players. And I think if their studios that are making some of these live service games came out and said, look, we want to communicate with you guys, we want to learn, and we want we want to build it with you to make it the best it can possibly be. I think that is a recipe for success. And it's kind of ironic because that seems to be the opposite of what Bungie's doing right now, which is so weird because I feel like that's what Bungie's been known for. You're saying their studios will die like that? Look at BioWare. Yeah, I don't think it would work for all of their studios. Like, I just can't help but think about The Last of Us multiplayer, you know? Like, if Naughty Dog came out and The Last of Us multiplayer was like, wow, this is really not that, it's not that it's not good, it's just like, this is not up to par with like the more successful modern live service games that people play every day. I wouldn't be like, oh, well, they fucked it up. I'd be like, well, kind of expected. It's Naughty Dog. But from that point forward, I would say, let's see how they do. Because we've seen that. Like that, to be honest, almost every single successful live service game started that way. They started with basically fucking up or not having enough or being very rough. And it was the doubling down on, okay, we're going to get this where it needs to be and we're going to do it together and we're going to, you know, and we're going to build it. And there's so many success stories. I mean, almost every single live service game that is in the top 10 most played right now, maybe except for the sports games, right? And even the sports games, they've had year after year to refine. That's how they got where they are. By basically just listening to the community and building it over time. And I think where Sony might be having an issue right now, is Sony's like, we need to focus on the quality. We got to focus on the quality. And it's like the philosophy of Sony Studios is the opposite of that. The philosophy of Sony Studios is put as much time into the product as you can, refine it as much as you can, and get it to a mere sheen and then release it. Which is good because that's absolutely what we need in single player games. But I just feel like it might be a lot more difficult for Sony Studios and their development teams to embrace that. And that, you know, that type of mentality doesn't make me that excited because it's like, that's the name of live service. It's a long, grueling process and it ain't easy and it takes years. But I just don't know. I don't know that there's really any other way for it to happen. Maybe there is. If there is, I would like to see Sony maybe be the first to usher that in, but I don't know. I have a Surge343 with a $10 super chat. He says, watching some old WWE or F while the water heater is being replaced. Royal Rumble 99, hilarious. I quit match with Rock and Mankind. Have you went back and watched old matches, EA or Ubisoft, if you had to choose? Well, actually, I don't watch wrestling. Interestingly enough, I come across a lot of different wrestling stuff on Twitter. Like sometimes I just get caught up in the wrestling algorithm and I'm like on the outside looking in, but some of that shit is very entertaining. You know, I see all this different stuff. I like Macho Man Randy Savage, of course. So I can't say that I like go back and watch old matches or anything, but I do come across some stuff now and again. EA or Ubisoft if I had to choose? Probably Ubisoft. Because EA, I don't know, man. EA to me seems too sterile at times, you know, where it's like, yeah, for me, one of the biggest reasons why anybody would go after EA is for the sports games. Yeah, they have Star Wars or like a line, you know, the license, but for me, it's the sports games that kill it because it's just like that's really why they would go for EA, and the sports games are as uninteresting as it gets to me. But yeah, there is Respawn as well. Think about Battlefield too, and what they could potentially do with that. So there is that. And EA has more than the sports titles, but that's just like, I think really like the first thing that comes to mind. It's funny because EA is so big. They have so much stuff. Yeah, they have Apex Legends. Yeah, true. Yeah, see, they have so much stuff. I honestly forget sometimes how much stuff EA actually has. You're saying Respawn is all EA has? I mean, it seems that way sometimes. You say that MBG, you say that MBG, but Naughty Dog has never made a roguelike game before, and the critics are eating up the no return mode. Why is that? Gameplay. Sony has massive advantages established IP. Dude, that's why I'm saying, like, I would love to see Naughty Dog try it themselves. Naughty Dog, this Last of Us multiplayer game, give it a shot. Fuck what the standard is supposed to be and what you're supposed to do. Fuck that. I know it's risky, but like, come on, man. Like, no one's ever there's never been newfound success without risk taking. Saying language, MBG. Yeah, I don't know. I'm a little bit, I don't know why I'm so like worked up today. I don't know why. But newfound success doesn't occur without risk taking. And I think Naughty Dog should just trust themselves. Sony should just trust them and just say, you know what? We're not going to follow the established rule set. We're going to do it the way we think is best. And hopefully our players will trust us. What would be so wrong about that? I don't think there'd be anything wrong about that. Now, I understand it's all about, you got to keep people engaged. But it's like, don't let that be the constant driving factor. Let the quality of the product be the driving factor, even for a live service game. What could be achieved? MBG just can't stop thinking about factions. He's still hanging on. Yeah, I am. But Surge, I'd probably go with Ubisoft on this one, man. I appreciate the $10 super chat as well. Thank you so much. MBG Unchained cursing buff plus 50. Josh Z with a $5 super chat. Thank you so much, my friend. You're saying, I find this story so interesting, especially when you compare it to Nintendo, who does everything that they can to keep employees happy. Bungie effed up. Yeah, I feel sorry for the employees at Bungie, but I don't feel sorry for like Bungie itself as an entity. You know what I mean? Where it's like, it's a shame that it has to go down this way, but it's just hard for me to feel sorry because it's like, I just feel, see, this is where, do you guys remember earlier this year on a couple of my streams, I told you, and this was prior to the layoffs and this massive erosion that we're seeing with Bungie, I was telling you guys that I was just coming across all these videos and all these posts on Twitter of like hardcore loyal Destiny fans and Bungie fans, like just basically talking about how it's over or, you know, they ruined it and it's just not the same and blah, blah. And I always just kind of, I told you guys how I kind of felt like it gave me this perception that, man, is there like, what is going on over there? And I remember like there were some people that are like, no, man, it's always like that. And I was like, oh, well, okay, I guess that makes sense, right? Like, I guess maybe there's always that kind of, you know, fan frustration to an extent. But then this happens shortly after. And it makes me kind of think like, you know, maybe it really wasn't that. Maybe it wasn't just some kind of, oh, there's always a couple of unhappy fans, vocal fans, right? In this case, it seems like, no, there's actually a serious issue going on. And this game might be on its way out. And the studio potentially on its way out as well. If Bungie erodes, man, I really want to know what Sony's plan is. They obviously have a plan of some kind of what they're going to do, but you're talking about like 1,100 employees. You're talking about a studio with 1,100 employees. I don't know. I genuinely wonder what Sony's leadership would do, where it's like, do you even take over? Because that's the thing, man. If Sony has to take over Bungie, it's going to be because Bungie fell that far. Like they're like that low in terms of we're just not making money anymore. Like we're sinking rapidly. That's the only way Sony would be able to just straight up take over that studio. But I wonder from Sony's perspective, like, what do you even do? Assuming that happens when Jim Ryan isn't there anymore, then you know who would be in charge? Hiroki Totoki, the CFO, the president, the guy who handles the money. And something tells me that if he had to take over a dying Bungie, Bungie's toast. I think they're just done. I think Sony's just going to dissolve all of it, retain whoever they think is the most valuable, and retain the IP. Maybe put like a skeleton crew on just keeping Destiny alive. Maybe they'll cancel Marathon straight up, and that'll be it. And it'll be like, well, we just blew billions of dollars. We're not going to do that again. We're not going after any major acquisition anytime soon. I mean, I know that sounds crazy, but it's like, again, this report, bro. You're saying I wish? No, I don't. To be honest, I wouldn't wish for that, because that would, listen, man. That's the worst case for everybody. I may not be a fan of Bungie, but the idea of them just being dissolved and going away is like, that doesn't help me, you know? And as somebody who wants to see PlayStation succeed, I would have to look at that and be like, wow, that's billions of dollars that could have went to literally anything else down the drain in the name of PlayStation and Bungie, you know? Not good. Not good. Yeah, and a bunch of people would lose their jobs. The thing that just really, to me, is so revealing about this IGN article is because this is coming from people who are in there right now. The two most revealing things are, number one, like I said, we are learning the deal between the higher ups at Bungie and Sony. And we are learning that there is now an us versus them mentality. And the higher ups at Bungie seemingly don't give a single shit about what the employees are saying. That is, like, dude, if I feel for those employees, because I would be scared too. I would be like, oh my God, they've given up. Like, they've given up on us, man. Like, they're looking out for themselves. They're in cahoots with the higher ups at Sony now. And it really seems like they're putting the studio, I don't want to say in an impossible position, but pretty close to it, where it's like, it's so obvious that all of this hinges on this like final expansion or possibly Marathon. Right? And it just seems like the higher ups at Bungie are just kind of looking at all the devs and saying, sink or swim. Either you save this studio or you're done, because we're good. Like, that's the thing, man. The higher ups at Bungie, they're fine. You know, like they're going to land on their feet. No problem. Again, they'll probably be absorbed into Sony, and they probably know that, but everybody below them, there's no guarantee. So it's like they're in this just kind of position where it's like, well, if you guys want to keep this thing going, you better figure out how to make a really, really good expansion and a really good game. And it's like, I mean, you know, diamonds are made under pressure. Who knows? Maybe the development team at Bungie could fucking shock everybody. But there's also the factor that everything has to go through the higher ups. It's like, hey, we want to do this and make these changes. And if the higher ups say, no, we're not doing that. And that's, to me, that's another really revealing thing about this report, is that every time the developers are trying to say, like, we think this is what we should do and this is what we should do, it seems like they're just being ignored, and they just keep being told by the CEO and everybody else that no, we just need to win our fans back. Like, just do what we're saying. So weird, man. Like, it almost seems like sabotage is what it seems like. And maybe that's a strong word to use, but that's kind of the vibe I'm getting. It's almost like the Bungie's leadership is trying to sabotage their own dev team. And that's, you're saying this is such a doomer conversation, it's not realistic. It's a lot more realistic than you think, man. It is. If somebody said to you at the beginning of this year that, hey, over 9,000 developers are going to get laid off across dozens and dozens of studios. Some studios are just going to straight up be shut down. Multiple studios shut down, multiple projects canceled. I guarantee you a lot of people at the beginning of the year would have said that's not realistic. And yet here we are, you know? And it's just because it's like, what's not realistic to me is seemingly the way Bungie was operating. Not 9,000 employees of Bungie. I'm talking about across the industry, across the entire industry this year. To me, what seems unrealistic is the way Bungie was operating. Clearly, because their expectations were unrealistic. They said, this is our revenue target. And then 3 months later, they say, we missed our target by like 50%. You want to talk about unrealistic? Nothing I'm saying, in my opinion, nothing I'm saying here is unrealistic for the simple fact that the industry is incredibly volatile right now. And this idea that just because Bungie has 1,100 employees and a reputation, this idea that that means they're safe, no, they're fucking not. No one's safe. No one's safe. And that to me is, again, it just kind of speaks to the nature of the video game industry right now, where it is very unstable. Arnie Vesper saying, I actually wish Sony let Bungie go. I'll just say it, man. I think Sony was stupid for buying Bungie. I'm just going to be real right now. I think Sony was stupid for buying Bungie because it's like, I can't, look, I don't know that I can fault Sony that much, because you have to keep in mind when Sony bought them, it was looking pretty good. Like, I don't think anybody would have predicted that this is where Bungie would be just 2 years later. I wouldn't have predicted it. I don't think Bungie would have predicted it. I don't think Sony would have predicted it. But I bet you there were a couple people inside of Sony that were like a little skeptical. Like, I don't know that Jim's making the best decision here to buy Bungie. You know? And anybody who was skeptical, they look very smart right now. They do, because it's like, yeah, I think, who chose Bungie, Herman or Jim? It's a good question. I mean, I have to imagine both to an extent. I mean, I think like, you know, obviously Herman had to be involved, but the buck stops with Jim Ryan. So it was ultimately Jim Ryan's decision to say, yeah, this is who we're going to bet on. I just want to say this last thing, and I'll read the rest of these chats and we'll move on to the next topic. The last thing I want to say is, very recently, the CEO of Bungie, Pete Parsons, straight up said, and I'm paraphrasing, I'm not quoting him, but he said that if it wasn't for Sony acquiring us, we would be in potentially a much more dire situation, in a much worse situation, or potentially, you know, like we would have to downscale much more rapidly. And there's obviously, it alludes to the potential of maybe you wouldn't even survive. To me, that is something that I think everybody should hang on to. Okay? Not because it's like, oh, Sony saved Bungie. No, I don't give a shit. But to me, it tells you, it tells you a lot about the mentality of the CEO of Bungie right now, where he views Sony in a very positive, good light, and basically saying like, you know, Sony is not the enemy. Sony is not the bad guy. I'm telling you, he's giving every sign. He knows, dude. Pete Parsons knows. Sony's coming, and they're about to take over. That's what's, mark my words, it's going to happen as soon as next year. I bet you. It's going to happen. Sony's going to take over Bungie entirely. What happens after that? I'm not even going to attempt to guess. But you're saying, why would he shit on his boss? Well, that's the thing. You're saying, good, Sony should take over. Good for Bungie. I mean, I'll be honest, I don't know that that's the wrong decision either. Because if you're Pete Parsons and you're looking around and it's like, you know, you're talking to the other higher ups at Bungie and it's like, guys, all right, we need a game plan here. We need a realistic game plan. What's the success rate looking like? What are the chances we can really turn this ship around? There's a good chance they're like crunching the numbers, looking it over and being like, it's not looking good. Like the chances are razor thin. You could imagine at that point, maybe you would look to Sony to be like, we need some help over here. This is, the walls are closing in. The ship, the ship, whatever analogy you want to use, the ship is really sinking quickly now. We need some help. And I just don't know. If I was Sony, like what's Herman going to do? I don't know. Like, what's Herman's experience in managing a live service studio? I don't know. Why is everyone making extraction shooters? Yeah, I don't know, man. I guess everybody thought the extraction shooter was the next evolution of battle royale. Poop sock saying, do you think Sony is banking on the Bungie game? No, I don't. I think originally they were. Yes. I think the answer is yes, and then immediately no. Because I think when Sony, it's clear that Bungie buttered Sony up. Like I don't know if people are picking up on that yet. It's very clear that Bungie buttered Sony up here, man. Where Sony was looking for an expert in live service. Bungie was on the market. They had long, extensive negotiations. And I'm telling you, Pete Parsons told Jim and Herman everything they wanted to hear. Yeah, guys, what we could achieve all of this together. We'll take Destiny to new heights. We got this game Marathon. It's gonna be the next big thing, man. But with your help, we could do transmedia. Right? I mean, they buttered them up, and Sony's got fucking dollar signs in their eyes. Like, this is exactly what we wanted. They have exactly what we want, a massively successful live service game, and we could grow it even further. And you know what? Look, man, maybe ultimately, now this is getting into really conspiratorial territory. I'm not trying to jump to conclusions. Keep in mind, everything I'm saying is speculative, except for the report itself. Abandoned strategy. Listen, this is going to be very conspiratorial. No, I'm not a flat earther. But for as conspiratorial as it may sound, I want you to really think about it. I mean, really think about it for a little bit, okay? If you're Bungie, specifically, you're the CEO of Bungie, right? You fought for your independence to rip yourself away from Microsoft. You then get in bed with Activision. Okay? You immediately regret that, or very soon after regret that, and then you fight again to tear yourself away from another major publisher. And you have to fight a second time for your independence. And you are independent for years to come, and you find tremendous success. The question needs to be asked, why would Bungie say to Sony, you know what? We've been down this road twice, and it hasn't worked out. In fact, it was kind of a disaster. We had to fight tooth and nail to get where we are. But yeah, sure, we'll let you acquire us. Well, I think the answer is obvious, right? Devil Shooter says greed. It's money. That's what it is. It's money. It's, you don't know what the future holds for your studio, for your game, for your own individual career. But you know what you do know? Billions of dollars is very convincing, isn't it? Now, where the really conspiratorial part comes in is I find it bizarre. Like, truly bizarre that things were going so well and so swimmingly for Bungie, or at least it seemed like it was, for so long. And within just a year and a half, basically, year and a half to 2 years of Sony acquiring them, the shit just fucking hits the fan. And suddenly, the whole studio's on fire. And there is suddenly a major disconnect between the higher-ups, the higher-up management at Bungie, you know, the people who are board members at Bungie, and the development teams. I'm just trying to figure out what is going on with that, with the board of Bungie right now. Like, what is going on with those individuals? Because I will tell you right now, if I had to put my money on it, and I know it sounds conspiratorial, but if I had to put my money on it, I think they're all looking at each other saying, we're going to save ourselves. And we are going to give this here to Sony. That's it. I think that's what they're doing. I think that's what they're ready for. And the fact that they are just ignoring the feedback, to me, gives you your answer. I think the devs realize this too. This is why the devs are reaching out to, you know, IGN and saying this shit, because they're fucking terrified, because they feel like, you know, they had fucking knitting classes. They had knitting classes, people. They went from, we're such a happy-go-lucky fucking, you know, well-functioning studio, we have monthly knitting classes. Doesn't that boost morale? Yeah, it sounds like it definitely could. Yeah, that shit's done. Okay? You hear me? Over. No more. No more gift cards. No more birthday celebrations. Nothing. It's over. You get to work because you know what? You want this shit to succeed? That's on you, buddy. Now, I'm going to go back in my office and count my money, but that's on you, because I'm good. I got mine. I'm telling you. You're saying, bro, what is this, grade school? I mean, it's obviously a very exaggerated, silly way of, explaining this, but maybe a little bit entertaining. I think that's what's happening, though. Truthfully, I really do. I think it's bad news all around, and it's worth noting that conversations between the board of Bungie and Sony happen, and the developers don't know. No one knows. The only people who know what's going on in those conversations is the board of Sony and the board of Bungie. And believe me when I tell you, there could absolutely be a plan in place right now between the both of them. And it has to be executed in a very specific way. I don't know why. The idea of having knitting, like the idea of like Bungie developers just like taking a break to go knit is so funny. Legion of Doom meeting. We'll see, man. The Batosai, he says, would you be mad if they do GTA 6 at 30 FPS, 1440p? No, I wouldn't. I mean, I would be a little bit, just a tad bit. I'd be like, man, no 60 FPS is a bummer, but based off of what I've seen from that GTA 6 trailer, no, I wouldn't be that surprised at all. I wouldn't be surprised at all. I would be a tad bit disappointed. But I'd say, you know, saying how could you not be mad at that? Well, because like, what am I gonna do? Like, say Rockstar, like one of the single most talented development teams in the world. How dare you? You guys suck. Meanwhile, they're like fucking doing shit technologically with this open world that has never been done. It's like, yeah, look, if we find out that GTA 6 is actually underwhelming with what it's doing with AI and physics and everything else, right? Lighting, you know, the density of the world, the detail of the world. If we find out that it's actually not nearly as impressive and it comes in at 1440p 30 frames, yeah, then we're going to have a conversation, be like, what the fuck's going on here? But I'm not assuming that at all. I'm assuming it's going to be the literal opposite. They're going to knock it out of the park and blow people away with what they're doing under the hood. And I think it'll be to such an extent that if we did find out it's only running at 1440p 30, that it would be like, okay, well, it's pretty much justified. But there is the PS5 Pro coming, so I don't know that I'm that worried, you know? Why do we trust Rockstar after how trash their remakes were? Because they didn't really do anything with their remake. Like, Rockstar didn't do anything with the GTA Trilogy Definitive Edition. That wasn't them. That was like Grove Street Games or something. They even used like AI or what the fuck ever. Red Dead Remastered, they just put the bare minimum because it was a cash grab. I don't even know if it was Rockstar that did it. Whoever did it, it was just a cash grab. Straight up, you know, like we would just want to sell this game and make it available on PS4 and 5. I mean, if anything, it's because everybody was too busy working on GTA 6. All right, give me 1 second here. I want to check. Let me see. I just want to make sure there isn't anything new coming out before I move on about the Bungie thing. I want to... Paul Tassi says, Sony needs to let Bungie get to Marathon before doing anything dumb like dissolve them. If they have any desire for live service to succeed, that is a far better bet than the Last of Us Factions or Horizon Fortnite or whatever else is Horizon Fortnite or whatever else is coming. What do you guys agree with that? I don't know that I agree with that. What's weird is, I mean, I get it. Like, I get where it's this Paul Tassi guy. He's saying Sony should. What he is saying is Sony should still bet on Bungie more than their own studios. I think he's nuts. I think he's fucking nuts, dude. I'll be real with you right now, and like I don't mean that in like he's actually nuts. I just mean I think I disagree entirely with that notion because, dude, Sony made the biggest bet they could ever make with Bungie. Sony made a $3.6 billion bet on Bungie, and it failed. This idea that they'll say, you know what? Let's try it again. Let's go one more time. Like, no. That's not how this works. Now, I'm not saying they should cancel Marathon, but I'm just saying that if it's, you're saying you don't play Bungie games. I mean, do you want to? Actually, I played Destiny 1 and 2. I don't play them now. I played Destiny 1 for probably 4 to 5 months. Or however long it took. I don't remember how long it took to get to the second expansion. And I played Destiny 2 for maybe like a month and a half. And then I was like, okay, I understand what's going on. I understand what this game is. And I just got very bored of it very quickly. No offense to it. It just wasn't really, it just didn't keep me hooked. But I understood the loop, you know? And yeah, the mechanics feel really good to play. And I did like the PvP. I thought the PvP was pretty fun too. Yeah, I'm sure it's a different game now. But I'm just saying that it's like, the thing about Marathon is, I'm not saying Sony should cancel it. And I honestly do think it would maybe be a mistake for Sony to cancel Marathon. Just because you have to imagine it's pretty far along in development right now. I mean, the announcement trailer has 20 million views, which is a lot. So like, there's a lot of interest in it. But it is an extraction shooter. And the idea, and this is where things get really, 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 really risky, in my opinion. The idea that you go from Destiny 2, which is not an extraction shooter, quite the opposite, to, okay, here's an extraction shooter, and it's going to be our new bread and butter. I understand Bungie has a reputation. I do. But I just don't think that's going to work. I don't know if anybody could put out an extraction shooter right now and it would blow up and take off. What are extraction shooters? So the extraction shooters actually don't sound that bad on paper. I just think it's been discovered that people get a little bit bored of them like a lot quicker than you would think, based off of what I can tell. But an extraction shooter is essentially the way I would imagine it would work for like a game like Marathon is you have kind of like your base of operations, like you're almost like your hideout or whatever, you know, your own little place, and you gear up, right? It's basically like prepping to go into a match. So you pick out which weapons you want to use, what items you want to take, you put it in your bag, and then you load into what is oftentimes like kind of an open world. And there are other players loading into this open world. And what happens is the goal is to get loot, get new shit, right? Acquire it and get the fuck out. It's that simple. That is the goal, but obviously, you're in an open world. There's going to be AI enemies. There's going to be potentially compounds and shit you have to raid, but there's going to be other actual players, and you have to decide whether you want to engage them. And the key factor here is if you die before you can extract, you lose all of your shit, all of it. You lose the shit that you looted, you lose the shit that you went in with, maybe except like your core weapon or something like that, but you lose like any ammunition, you lose any health items, so on and so forth. And it's like the concept of it is very good, but it's just, it seems like, because Battle Royale was a trend that died. Now, of course, you'll say, well, Fortnite's Battle Royale. Well, yeah, but outside of Fortnite, who's like out here releasing Battle Royale games anymore? No one. So the idea was, well, that's because extraction shooter is the next go-to thing. And it turns out that, well, Escape from Tarkov, I'm assuming it's still successful. Warzone's successful too, but again, like, you're not, I guess what I'm saying is you're not seeing like every year now, there's more devs coming out saying, here's our new Battle Royale. The trend died, not the genre itself, the trend of like, we need, because that's the thing. There was always going to be room for Battle Royale games, but there was like a ceiling, right? And that ceiling has been hit where, yeah, we have Apex, we have Warzone, we have, I guess PUBG's still out there, right? We have Fortnite, but the question then becomes like, okay, well, like, how much more room is there? Yeah, so it's basically like the Division's Dark Zones. That's essentially an extraction shooter. And yeah, many, many other Battle Royales failed along the way. And so it's like, if like Naughty Dog, if their multiplayer game was like The Last of Us Battle Royale, pretty fucking risky, because it's like, yeah, The Last of Us is a huge name and it could find success, but you're trying to get the same people who are playing Apex, who are playing Fortnite, who are playing Warzone. Good luck. I'd be interested in it, but I'm just saying, like, when it comes to creating live service games now, Battle Royale is not like the first thing that comes to mind. At this point, Battle Royale would probably be some kind of like secondary bonus game mode, but it's not going to be the hook, because anybody who's hooked on Battle Royale, they already have their fix from all these different sources. So that's why everybody kind of moved towards, oh, it's because extraction shooter's the next thing. But I don't know that it is, because Call of Duty tried to do an extraction shooter with DMZ. Yeah. And I don't, look, I'm just making an assumption, but that shit's been in beta for like almost 2 years now or something. Is it doing great? Well, that's really interesting. Well, that's news to me. I had no idea. Maybe, I don't know, maybe it is. Maybe it is the next thing. Maybe Bungie themselves are betting on the right horse. I'm just not convinced. That's all. Like, I just don't know how, like, if you're losing the goodwill of your fan base, and now you're starting to lose the goodwill of your own development team, I mean, how good does Marathon really have to be to win all that back? It can't just be good. It has to be phenomenal. It has to be immaculate. It has to be the next big fucking thing. I really believe that. And so, I don't know, Sony might just see it through and say, go ahead. We already fucking ate $3.6 billion. What's this? You know? I mean, that really might be Sony's mentality. It's like, fuck it. Just throw it against the wall, see if it sticks. If not, whatever. You know, we'll move on. Yeah, to me, that there was that rumor or something that Bungie play tested Marathon a while ago with popular streamers, and like basically the feedback was like, yeah, we're not going to play this, man. And like that to me is like, oh, that's not good. You know, like that's not what you want to hear. Bungie has a new IP cooking alongside Marathon. I think the rumor was that got canceled. Could be wrong. So we have Zero Connection. He says, like the Battle Hastings tapestry, hopefully the employees have knitted the rise and fall of Bungie, but we need a visual narrative of what happened. I see what you did there, Zero Connection. Well, I'll tell you this, man. A visual narrative of what happened. I don't know that we'll get like a... I don't know that we could expect something like that, but what I do think is... if Bungie, if the worst does happen, we're going to hear a lot. We're going to get a pretty good idea of what went wrong, what led to it. And right now, I can tell you this, for as much as we're learning from these employees that are talking to IGN, we still know very, very little. We know very little. But Zero Connection, I do appreciate the super chat, bud. I'm going to move on to the next main topic. So I apologize. I spent way too much time talking about Bungie in this situation. So forgive me for that, because that's actually not really what I wanted to talk to you guys about today. What I really wanted to talk to you guys about in a much more positive way here is PlayStation at the Game Awards. What can we expect? What are they going to show? Should we be excited? That's the question. Should we be excited about PlayStation at the Game Awards, or are we just setting ourselves up for disappointment? Well, I'm not going to answer that yet, because what I want to do is talk about realistically, maybe unrealistically, maybe everything in between. I want to talk about what is likely to show up, what is unlikely to show up at the Game Awards tomorrow for PlayStation specifically. All right? And I'm going to start here by first telling you guys this. I think it is okay to be relatively excited for PlayStation tomorrow. Not overly hyped, like, this is it, this is the moment we've all been waiting for. Not like that. Not even close. But I think it is perfectly okay to say, you know what? I'm excited to watch the show tomorrow, and I'm excited to see what Sony's going to show. Here's why I say this. If we look at what Sony showed up to the Game Awards with last year, it's pretty clear Sony cares about having a presence at the Game Awards. And the reason for that is very simple. The Game Awards gets a ton of viewership. Millions and millions of people tune in to the Game Awards, okay? So I'm going to give you just a very quick rundown of what Sony specifically showed up with at the Game Awards last year. And this is it. Death Stranding 2, PlayStation 5 exclusive, revealed for the first time at the Game Awards. Final Fantasy 16, one of the biggest exclusives, that was set to launch in 2023, showed up with a new trailer. Horizon Burning Shores DLC was announced at the Game Awards. The Last of Us Part 1 showed up at the Game Awards with a new trailer, I believe. I think it was for PC. Let me confirm this real quick. Yes, PC trailer for The Last of Us Part 1 and PC trailer for Returnal. So there was a pretty decent presence there for PlayStation and their PC. There was Forspoken showed up at the Game Awards. Horizon Call of the Mountain showed up at the Game Awards. Destiny 2 Lightfall was at the Game Awards. And I think that's it. So that's a lot of shit that Sony brought to the table. Now, granted, I'm not saying all of it was the most exciting, but I'm just saying it should give you an idea that Sony absolutely cares about bringing some stuff to the table with them and their studios and their partner studios. So with that in mind, what's going to show up tomorrow? Well, yes, I agree. That was a lot. I remember a lot of people were very pleased with Sony's presence at the Game Awards last year. Here's what I think is going to show up tomorrow. I'm going to start with what I think is very likely, and then I'll move into what I think is kind of in the middle, and then I'll move on to what I think is unlikely. So what I think is very likely to show up at the Game Awards tomorrow for PlayStation, Death Stranding 2. The reason why I say this is because, let me bring it up here. Herman Hulst just met up with Hideo Kojima not that long ago, and Hideo Kojima posted some pictures saying with Herman, he's wearing his PlayStation hoodie, and to me, this is what confirms it, he just arrived to Los Angeles, or he just arrived in Los Angeles today, or last night, I think. So, yes, Hideo Kojima is going to be at the Game Awards. Obviously, we're going to see more of Death Stranding 2. So to me, that is the single most likely game to show up alongside Final Fantasy VII Rebirth and Helldivers. So these three games, and I know that maybe it's not the most exciting to everybody. I mean, to me, Death Stranding is the most exciting just because we know so little about it. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, it's obviously going to show up. At least I think so. It's coming out very soon. It's in full marketing swing. It's a great place to get more eyes on it. And obviously, we will absolutely welcome another Final Fantasy VII Rebirth trailer. I think we will see Helldivers 2 show up, though, with a little trailer as well. So those are the three that I think are like at the, like, I don't want to say I almost want to say guaranteed, right? Now, when it comes to games that are still pretty likely to show up, there's still quite a few. Rise of the Ronin. Okay, Rise of the Ronin was rumored. Apparently, it's like recently got play tested, but Rise of the Ronin is apparently rumored to release early next year. We have not seen this game since September of 2022. We only have one trailer for this game. This would be the perfect time for Rise of the Ronin to reemerge. Stellar Blade. Okay, we just heard about the partnership between Sony and SHOUTOUT. Stellar Blade was supposed to come out this year, and we haven't gotten any updates. So this would be another time for it to show up. Silent Hill 2 Remake. Silent Hill 2 Remake is up for pre-order, and it's rumored to be launching early next year. We just need a release date. We need to see some gameplay. We need a second trailer. I don't know if Jeff Keighley would allow that because it's Konami, but, you know, money talks. So, yeah, I don't. That's the thing, especially because Kojima's going to be there. I think Konami might be shit out of luck. They have to do it on their own. Other games that. So let's talk about Sony's first party. Notice how every single game I just mentioned, not a single one is from Sony's first party. What Sony first party games are likely to show up at the Game Awards? Believe it or not, I think there's more than we might realize. I do. Now, keep in mind, when I list these games, I'm not saying they're going to show up. You're saying none? Well, that's absolutely a possibility. Yeah. I mean, look, I'll be real with you guys. I would recommend not expecting anything from any of Sony's first-party studios, just because it's best not to leave disappointed. But I have a difficult time believing Sony isn't going to have something, because that would fucking suck. Like, I would actually look at Sony and be like, "Are you kidding me? Like, what? Like, we know nothing. This is a great time, Sony." So here's what I think could possibly show up. Spider-Man 2 DLC. God of War DLC. Or a God of War expansion. I'll be honest with you, I'm feeling like pretty confident that this God of War expansion or DLC is going to show up tomorrow. Feeling pretty confident about it. Horizon Remaster. Oh my God. That would be a train wreck, bro. Sony shouldn't even announce the Horizon Remaster. They should just shadow drop it. That's what they should do. If you shadow drop a Horizon Remaster, no one can be mad because you're not giving them time to be mad. It's just out. $10 upgrade, go ahead, have at it. That's how you handle the Horizon Remaster. Here's another game that is, I think, relatively likely to show itself. Concord. This is a game that's coming out next year, guys. Concord is the only PlayStation Studios title that is confirmed coming next year. Sony reiterated that in a recent blog post. Don't forget about Concord. It is likely. It is the most likely game out of all of Sony's first-party games to show up, because it's the only game coming next year. If Concord is as good as Herman Hulst made it sound, because I remember, dude, Herman Hulst was like, I think players are going to love this game. It could make a big splash if it's actually good. That would be a hell of a twist, wouldn't it? Wouldn't that be a crazy twist? You're saying, please don't ruin our night. No, wouldn't that be a crazy twist? It's like Sony's like, here's your first look at Concord gameplay. And people are like, that looks incredible. Could you imagine? I mean, that would be really cool to see happen, because it would be so unexpected. Not Concord itself, but just if people's reaction was like, that looks fucking great. That would be frankly, that would be a game changer. No pun intended this time for Sony, because that's it would insinuate or imply that they might have a hit on their hands. Like a hit live service game. Like they might actually have it. So I'm really interested. Like, I guess a part of me is hoping we see Concord, even if it is disappointing, just because I want to fucking see what this game is, dude. Sony bought this studio. They straight up bought Firewalk and said, like, we're buying them because their game looks that good. I'm like, I want to see this thing. I do. Helldivers is more likely. I agree with that. Yeah, I think Helldivers is almost a guarantee. Because it is coming out in February and Sony has to market it, right? So I think Helldivers is a guarantee. Fair Games. Yeah, Fair Games could show up as well. I think Fair Games is less likely, though. We have Dragon Bat Spidey with a $5 super chat, his third super chat. Thank you for that, buddy. He says, what are the chances we get a PS5 remaster of God of War 2018 with ray tracing, improved FPS, and DualSense support? Oh my God, please, God, no. I want to say the chances are 0 because that would fucking suck. Like, dude, listen, people can only take so much. And I like Dragon Bat Spidey. I'm not saying if you would like to play that, you know, I'm not trying to offend you or anything, but it's just, people can only take, I mean, as a fan myself, I can only take so much. Like, I would freak the fuck out and be like, Sony, what on God's green earth are you doing? Now you got me nervous. Now you got me nervous. This is what Sony, guys, by the way, it turns out the rumors were wrong. It's not God of War DLC they're working on. It's a remaster, a remakester of God of War 2018. It would be the most, people would revolt, bro. People would be flipping tables. You're saying at least it's been 5 years. I'm just saying it would. The reason why that would be the straw that breaks the camel's back, even with a Horizon announcement, like a Horizon Zero Dawn remaster, is because it's like, dude, you just announced The Last of Us Part 2 remastered. You know, like, people are reaching their limit, or they've already reached their limit. This is getting out of hand. I agree. The Horizon remaster is already too much. Yeah, the Tyr voice actor, the voice actor who did Tyr in God of War Ragnarok, confirmed something else is coming, or he teased it. So, oh man. How about The Last of Us Part 1 remake remaster? Now that would be pretty exciting. I would love to see that, just because I would really want to know, how are you going to sell that to me? What is that? It's like we replaced the character models of Joel and Ellie with with Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey. It's like, oh, okay, well. Oh man, I better stop. I'm giving them ideas now. GTA 7 remaster, let's go. But to answer your question, Dragon Bat Spidey, honestly, I don't think we're going to see anything like that. If God of War does show up at the Game Awards for Sony tomorrow, it's going to be for some type of DLC/expansion. I remember we heard a couple months back that the expansion was like 60% complete. Little Devil Inside? Oh, yeah. I don't know where that game went, man. So, first party, let's recap here for Sony at the Game Awards tomorrow. Concord, Spider-Man 2 DLC, God of War DLC. These 3 first-party games are the most likely, in my opinion, to show up. Now, I think there are a couple of other PlayStation titles that could show up. Big if here. Again, I am not telling you guys to expect this. Don't expect it. But I just need to inform you of some of the games that Sony has cooking behind the scenes, that if they wanted to reveal them here, they could. Some of those games are, well, we could see Wolverine. That would be a mic drop moment. I think let's be honest right now. Let's just cut through the shit. The question we want an answer to is Sony going to have a mic drop moment tomorrow? That's what we want to know. Because Sony hasn't had a mic drop moment in like 2 years, frankly. You know, and unfortunately, I can't answer that question for you. You guys are saying no. It's probably best to go in tomorrow saying no, they're not going to. It doesn't mean they can't. But yeah, I wouldn't get our hopes up. But I do think about that. I do think, like, what if Sony decided, yeah, let's drop a Wolverine trailer. Let's drop the second Wolverine trailer at the Game Awards. They could definitely do it. And it would be one of the biggest things that drops that night. But it's also one of those things where it's like, they could not do it. And it seems more likely they wouldn't, you know? But I think there's a slim possibility. Another, I mean, here's one for you. I'll ask you guys. Last of Us multiplayer. Did it just need more time? I mean, Naughty Dog said it needed more time. Would they say that like back in June or something? They gonna show it? Now you can. Now I'm huffing the hopium now. I'm on the hopium. Your expectations are super low, Tony. You don't think Sony's gonna have a big presence, if any? That would, like, truthfully, that would really suck, man. I would be very disappointed in Sony because it's like, come on, man. Look, I'm not saying you have to pull out all the stops for the Game Awards, but I won't lie. I do expect Sony to show up tomorrow. I do, because like this is one of the only opportunities going, you know, like this is a good opportunity for them to just kind of get momentum going into next year and get more positive momentum, I mean, right? Because they have momentum for sure. Like, people are already buying PS5s. They got Final Fantasy coming, Helldivers, The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered. They have momentum. I'm just saying, it's like in terms of just really making the fans. Like, again, let's just cut through the shit. This is a good opportunity for Sony to speak directly to the fans. Because I'll tell you right now, the casuals are not tuning in to the Game Awards. The fans are. So I think it would be a great opportunity for Sony to just, you know, give us a little something. Give us a little morsel. But frankly, I would be happy if all we saw was Death Stranding 2 gameplay. That would be enough for me, man. That and like a Final Fantasy 7 trailer, I'd be like, I'm good. I want more than that, obviously. I'm always going to want more than that. But that would be enough. Death Stranding 2 release date. You're saying no casuals. You're saying this is the one time casuals do tune in. I don't think so, man. You think? I don't think so. Oh, I gotta let lay out. I don't think so, man. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe you're right. Maybe you're right. You're saying the casuals catch the highlights on Twitter and YouTube? Yeah, that's more likely. I mean, look, Sony could pull out a wild card here, man. They could reveal Blue Point's game. They could reveal Sony Ben's new IP. They could fucking reveal Ghost of Tsushima 2 if they wanted. I'm not saying this is going to happen or that it's even likely. I'm just saying these are real possibilities for the and there's one reason why. You ready? There's one simple reason why. Everything that we're bringing up here has been in development for literal years, man. Sony's been holding on to these cards. They could play any of these cards at any moment. I don't think they need to, though. And I think that's why they won't. So, even though it would be great to see a new Wolverine trailer, it would be great to see Ghost of Tsushima 2 announced. Blue Point's new game. It would be awesome to see any of this stuff. But the question is, does Sony need to play that card? Or would it be better for them to save that card and play it another time? Play it a little bit later on. Yeah, probably. It's not happening, MBG. They would rather hold a showcase or state of play in January and show their new stuff. Yeah, I could see them doing that too. I don't know in January, but earlier in the year. Ghost 2 will be glorious. Hell yeah, it will be. PS5 Pro announcement? No, I don't think the PS5 Pro announcement is going to come until maybe June of next year. That's my guess. The PS5 is selling 40,000 units a day. I saw that. That's a wild statistic. Ember Lab? Yeah, Ember Lab's been quiet for a long time now. Well, I'm going to be more conservative with what PlayStation will show at the Game Awards, frankly. My more conservative... Oh, here comes Boss. My more conservative prediction is... I think Sony is... I don't want to say they're going to do the bare minimum, because I don't think it's about doing the bare minimum, but I think they are more likely to lean heavily on their partners. I do. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if nothing first party shows up at the Game Awards from PlayStation, because they might just look at it as, we'd rather save our first party stuff. We have like 6 different games that could all be shown, you know, with new trailers, new updates. Boss, I can't believe he does this. I can't believe he's this close to me. He's just right in my face, dude. Right in my face, just like, snacks. Where are my snacks? Well, guys, listen, I didn't want to have to bring this up, but I'm going to have to. I did buy new snacks for Boss, okay? Snacks without drugs in them, without catnip in it, without cat drugs. And I was going to give him some today, but guys, we only got 1 membership today, which is, hey, that's fine, man. You guys have killed it this week. But it's just, I feel kind of, I don't know, maybe I'll still have to give him a little treat afterwards, because he's been waiting. He's clearly been waiting. He's like, I need my new, I tested it out. I gave him 1 treat earlier to see if he would eat it. This new, the new snacks that we bought, and he liked it a lot. So, Rise of the Ronin. I think Rise of the Ronin will show up. I do. I think that's one of the more likely games from Sony to show up, because it's like, again, man, this game's been in development for a long time. The rumor is it's coming out early next year. He's getting punished because report. No, I'll still give him a little. I'll still give him a little. He's been a good boy today. How old are your cats? I think Leia is like, I think she's 7 now. And I think Boss is 6 years old. In cat years, I forget what that is. I know it's not like super old. They're like middle-aged, close to middle-aged. You would love to see a Wolverine tease at the Game Awards. I would too. Man. It would be great. But I'm not getting my hopes up. Boss is demanding treats. I'm giving him some Some neck rubs here. He likes that. Got to multiply it by 7. Well, damn. They're pretty close to middle age then. Factions at the Game Awards. I would love to see it, man. You know what would... So I want to ask you guys this, all right? I'm gonna put this down more concretely here. Concrete. I don't know why I'm saying like that. Concretely. How would you rate these announcements from Sony at the Game Awards tomorrow? Okay? These are the announcements Sony shows up with. Death Stranding 2 first gameplay trailer and release date announcement. Spider-Man 2 DLC number 1 trailer release date announcement. God of War Ragnarok DLC trailer release date announcement. And then, just for good measure, another trailer and potentially a release date announcement for Rise of the Ronin. How would you feel about that? You think that's too much? You think that's too crazy? Boss, bro, why? Why are you doing this to me, man? Too much? You're saying, see, the dude, I disagree with that. To me, that's too much in the other direction. You're saying Sony isn't going to show anything. That's unrealistic. You're saying that's a 10 for sure. I do think what I just said sounds like a bit too much. All right, come on, man. You got to go. Look, you can chill on my desk. You can't be in front of the screen. I do think what I said is a little too much, but believe it or not, I do think it's realistic. I do. I think it's realistic. Spider-Man, you're saying that sounds like a showcase? Wow. Have we really... I don't... That's crazy. See, Death Stranding 2 doesn't sound like too much at all to me, because that sounds like a given. Spider-Man DLC also seems like a given. The God of War DLC, I think, is the thing that's maybe they could save that. Maybe that would make it too much. Rise of the Ronin seems almost like a given too. So I don't know. I have high hopes in the sense of just Sony doing a little something to get, to make us feel good. Make fans feel good. Not crazy. Saying Microsoft will show up, Hellblade 2 for sure. Oh, that'd be cool. Yeah, I'm not, to be honest, I haven't really been thinking about what Microsoft could show up with, but Hellblade 2 sounds really likely. I can imagine Microsoft showing up with quite a bit, honestly. Because they have so many studios, They could be ready to show a lot. Other than that, though, I don't know. I don't know that there's much else I could say right now in terms of talking about Sony at the Game Awards, simply for the fact that it's like, possible Blade game reveal at the Game Awards. Oh, shit. And this would be from a Microsoft studio. Dude, no way. That would be fucking nuts. No way Microsoft's going to get me fucking pumped, man. So there's this big rumor that Arcane Lion, I think, their next game is going to be revealed, and now the rumor is saying that it might be a Blade game. I don't know. That seems a little... does that sound realistic? Who's making it? Let me read this a little bit. So it says, from the Reset Era Xbox thread. Who's saying this, though? BioSnake said, I'll give you the actor's initials and end it at that. People want to be surprised. And the initials are MA. So somebody said, Marshala Ali, he is going to play Blade. So Blade game confirmed. Shit, that's a pretty fucking good connection, actually. Hold on. Before you say fake, I'm trying to remember where I saw this. Somebody posted that Arcane Lions game. They put a picture of a fencer, or like an emoji of a fencer, like holding a sword. Oh, dude, I don't know, man. I don't know. You're saying it's reaching? I'll tell you right now, I'll fucking play that game. I'll fucking play that. That'd be awesome, man. That'd be a great reveal. But I don't want to... MA. What? Well, the question is, what else could MA really... Because he says, I'll give you the actor's initials and end it at that. People want to be surprised. The actor's initials. Like, I mean, MA. Is there any other, like... Boss, are you okay? Boss is stuck. All right, he's good. And people are saying it's going to be a Blade game from Arcane. I always thought Blade was really cool, man. That'd be a pretty surprising reveal. Stands for my ass. A Series X unboxing would be epic. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I would probably feel more inclined to just play Xbox games on my PC, unless I get really annoyed by it. I haven't really played anything on PC, so I don't know if it would be like an annoying thing trying to do it for the first time and figure it out. But Keegan-Michael Key is Blade. Oh my god, that'd make me even more excited. Keegan-Michael Key is Blade. Remember that the Bethesda roadmap leak had an unannounced Disney game on it, alongside Indiana Jones. If Microsoft has a Blade game announcement at the Game Awards tomorrow, that's going to be, to me, that could be a mic drop moment for them, depending. Like, because I'll tell you right now, if this rumor was for Sony, I'd be losing my shit. The only reason I'm not losing my shit fully yet is because I don't like Arcane Lion. They did Deathloop, right? Right? So they did do Deathloop. Yeah. What? They did Dishonored as well, correct? See, I'm trying to, yeah. Dishonored, Death of the Outsider, Wolfenstein Youngblood, Wolfenstein Cyberpilot, Deathloop, Prey. See, the only thing that makes me like a little skeptical of this is when I look at their pedigree of games and then I think about what a Blade game would be. I'm not like I almost like is it going to be like first person? Yeah, that's the only thing that kind of confuses me a little bit here. But I mean, I don't know. Maybe this could be their first time just making a very different type of game. If this is true and they're the ones doing it, and if it even is a Blade game, but that's pretty hype, man. Just the fact that just the idea of a Blade game in general is pretty cool. Dude, this guy says, "Holy fucking shit! Arcane making a Blade game. What the fuck, yo? What is Phil Spencer cooking?" That guy is fucking hype, man. I would recommend that guy calm down a little bit, man, because it might not be what he thinks it is. Oh, what is Phil cooking for the Game Awards? At that point, I would feel like, Sony, you got to show up with Wolverine now, man. Come on, this ain't even cool. A first-person Blade game would be strange. I don't know. I just get this feeling that a Blade game would have to. I don't know. I guess just in my head, I feel like it would have to be third person. It's okay. We have Stellar Blade. Yeah, that's funny. Sony be like, we won't show shit. You're saying Blade could absolutely play like Dishonored? I never did play the Dishonored games. I heard they're really good, though. I didn't like Deathloop. We'll see, though, man. I will say, if this rumor's true, though, if Microsoft shows up to the Game Awards with a Blade game announcement, that's a fucking W. Like, that's a huge W in my book. Because that's like, wow. Yeah, a Blade game, let's go. I'm on board. I would have to see it, like, again, if it really is Arcane making it, like, what's it going to look like? How's it going to play? But yeah, that's pretty good. That's a big win. The Elder Scrolls 6. I don't think the Elder Scrolls 6 is going to show up. No. Microsoft gets MVG hype video. Well, that's the thing. I'm talking about PlayStation, but I am going into the reason why I am excited generally about the Game Awards tomorrow is because it just sounds like there's going to be a lot of shit showing up across the board. Like, I do expect Sony will be there, and I hope they have a good presence. But generally speaking, it's like if Sony has a couple good things, but generally the show is just really good and everybody shows up with some good shit, I'm happy. I'm happy. That's what I'm looking for. And we have fa la 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 la. Fa la la la. However you would like me to say it. Welcome aboard. Keeping the membership train going today. It's chugging along very slowly today, but still chugging along nonetheless. Welcome aboard. I don't know how many times I'm going to keep saying your name, but I'll say it one more time. Fa la 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 la. Clearly made that name purposely. Becomes a member. Welcome to Greatness Awaits. Looks like they re-upped their membership. I almost wonder if they changed their name too. Wonder if they changed their name. But thank you so much. That brings us up to 2 members on the day. So again, the member train is going slow, but still going nonetheless. I appreciate it, bud. What time is the Game Awards? It's a good question. I know for me it's like, I think like 7 o'clock or something. I have to reconfirm the time. It's interesting because I see somebody in the Reddit post saying here that Arcane Lion seems like a perfect studio for Blade. See, this is where I just feel like I'm disconnected here because I don't know. I guess just in my mind, I don't make that connection right away. Shadow of the Erd Tree 4chan leak. I don't know if there's. Yeah, so look, Brad Sams, he's hinting at a new Arcane announcement tomorrow, and he said Brad Sams, he's like a Microsoft dude, VP and making Windows more personal. Yeah, he's a Microsoft dude, and he replied to a rumor that claims that Arcane Studios is going to have a new game announcement tomorrow, and he replied with a fencer emoji. And I mean, fuck, dude. I think that's it. Like, to me, this is like the cat's out of the bag. Shit, I'm going to have to rename my stream. Could be Dishonored 3. You think so? You think the fencer would represent Dishonored 3 and not necessarily Blade? Blade doesn't fence. Yeah, I guess maybe there could be Dishonored 3, they use swords. Okay. All right. Maybe I'll walk this back a little bit then. Cuz you know what, now that I'm thinking about it, maybe there would be a more appropriate emoji to use. It was leaked too. Finally, the MBG has come back to Xbox. Well, dude, it's not so much about coming back to Xbox. I've always told people that like it's going to be very unceremonious. I've straight up told people for years that there are Xbox games that are very likely going to come out that I'm going to want to play. Yeah, I mean, Hellblade 2 is one of them. State of Decay 3. I mean, throw a Blade game in there, yeah, that'll be another one. I'm not gonna not play good games or games that I think are good just because they're on Xbox. That's why. See, that's what's weird. Is like that's why I try to tell people, like, dude, like some people out there who act like they kind of hate PlayStation shit. I'm like, you're telling me there's like nothing on PlayStation that you would want to play? Gavin says, "What the F? Unsubscribed." That's funny, bro. Yeah, you know what? In this thread, a lot of people are saying that they're thinking it's Dishonored 3. I can't read that. Well, it's worth noting 0 leaks or rumors regarding PlayStation right now for the Game Awards. Maybe that's a good thing. It's either a good thing or a bad thing. Check this out, though. The GTA 6 trailer was not just cinematics, according to a former Rockstar developer who they say it's really going to look like this. Well, there you go. Confirmation. Not surprised. All right. Exclusive details on a new action RPG by Xbox and Wu-Tang Clan. What? What? Bro, what is Xbox cooking over there, man? What the hell is going on? What is happening? You know what? Now I'm curious. This is being reported by Insider Gaming. It's an exclusive from them. Let's just read it for shits and giggles. Details first emerged on Project Shaolin in October of 2021, following the infamous NVIDIA leak that revealed a slew of project codenames of in-development games. One such leaked project was Shaolin, and the leak subsequently led to reports from Windows Central Jez Corden and VentureBeat's Jeff Grubb on what the game could entail and its involvement with Wu-Tang Clan. According to both reports, the game is a third-person melee-oriented RPG complete with 4-player co-op. The The game was also said to heavily involve the Wu-Tang Clan members themselves with the game's soundtrack and would feature the likes of loot, weapons, and gear from defeated enemies. According to the reports, the game is in development at Brass Line Entertainment, a new studio formed in 2019. Insider Gaming can corroborate these original reports and understands that the game is currently in the alpha stage. The gameplay evolves around fast-paced melee combat in third person with a strong focus on having both music and combat intertwined. Players can choose from 4 different weapons that all have different and unique playstyles. It's understood the game features a massive catalog of Wu-Tang Clan's music, most of which has been reimagined. The Wu-Tang Clan's involvement goes beyond just their music too, as all 9 Wu-Tang Clan members are also playable and act as the player's limited time buff that will give you ultimate moves, increased health, and more. Wow, they're getting like a lot of details here. They said an Xbox game. They're like, where? Do they confirm it's an Xbox exclusive? Whatever, man. I can't say I'm interested in it. I don't know. Is anybody interested in this Wu-Tang Clan game? You're saying a Wu-Tang martial arts beat 'em up? Sign me up. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not. It does. It sounds. I don't know. I'm not like really into the Wu-Tang Clan, but it sounds interesting. Irfan, you're saying Sony could show up with Ballistic Moon's game? Yeah, that's true. That would be a little surprise announcement. Keep forgetting about that. Damn, dude. Oh, let me go check on this tweet I put out that probably caused unnecessary chaos. I put a picture of a PS5 and an Xbox Series X and says if you can only choose one. Fanboy question. Well, obviously. Wow, dude. Well, I created a war over there. Sorry. Holy shit. All right. So I want to keep the topics flowing because we still have a couple more to cover before we bring this show to a close. Okay. Let me see here. So the next topic in line that I do want to talk to you guys about. Yo, hold on. I got to bring this up real quick before we move on to the next topic. Are you guys kind of seeing this weird phenomenon happening on the internet right now after the GTA 6 reveal where there seems to be like a group of people trying to, I don't know that they're trying to get the game canceled or whatever, but they're taking this kind of self-righteous stance where like they're basically talking about how like, oh, I'm like, look, I'll just read this. Oh no. Shit. My computer just froze. Uh-oh. Can you guys see me? I can't look at my... What? Okay. All right, we're good. Shit just broke there for a second. Am I good? I don't know. Now it's not popping up on... Chad, I need your help right now. Shit's going haywire. Is everything good on your end? Nothing stopped on your side? Okay. All right, we're good. My PC just got fucked up for a second. Okay. Anyway, as I was saying, you're saying close some windows. Yeah, I'm gonna have to. Like, I see the drama alert account says the Tate brothers speaking out against GTA 6. Quote, I'm not a fan of anyone under the age of 18, 21, maybe playing video games where the goal is to shoot police officers, end quote. And then somebody quote tweeted that saying, why is a living, breathing GTA character lecturing us on video game violence like it's 2003? Oh, man. I'll tell you what. I was playing GTA and shooting cops in GTA when I was a kid. And I think I turned out okay. I've just been seeing like this weird shit going around where it's like people are acting like this is the first time they're discovering like you can shoot the police in GTA. Like, yeah, that's always been a thing in GTA. Like yup, you can do that. And there's just like people behaving so strangely where, look, I'm not saying that anybody under, I'm not saying like kids should be playing GTA. I'm not encouraging that, not at all. But I just think people need to fucking be a little bit more realistic here and understand that GTA is so many people have tried to take GTA down over the decades. Like we've already been through this. That's what I'm trying to explain. We've been through this. People have tried to take GTA down and stop like teens from playing it and younger audiences from playing it. It's like, no, you're saying I turned out a bit aggressive, but it's okay. Oh yeah, maybe it's not. Maybe there are some problems. I'm just saying it's like it's weird to me that this is still an ongoing thing. Like, dude, people who want to play GTA are gonna find a way to play GTA, and I don't know. I see that. I've seen actually a couple people in my chat. They were like, I've never played GTA because like my parents were like completely against it. Like they wouldn't let me touch it ever. And I bet you, look, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. That's probably a good thing, right? Like I don't know that I would want my kids, right? Like to just go play GTA 6. No, but it's like I just think it's pretty much been proven at this point that exposure to this type of stuff, like violent video games, like that's not what makes people become like psychopathic killers. It's just not. Like it's been proven time and time again. Like that is not what does it. So it's just very strange to me that like you see these people still today with such large followings where it's like they can be considered in some ways extremely toxic themselves, damaging youth themselves, with the type of followings that they garner, but they're going to come out like that. That's what's so funny about that quote to me. He's like, yo, why is a literal GTA character coming out here and saying this shit? It's like, I don't know, man. I don't know. I guess I'm just saying I thought we were past this, but I guess maybe not. Bad parenting is what makes criminals. Yep. Yeah. I mean, not alone. Like there's multiple factors, but yeah, bad parenting can absolutely be a major factor there. But we'll see. I don't know. I think at this point, most people kind of know what to expect with GTA. If I had to guess. All right. So I wanted to go over this topic with you. We have okay, that's a very long write-up. I need to find Naughty Dog's Twitter because they revealed the pricing of The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered. And so The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered is going to be $50. I have to admit, I'm a little bit surprised. I really thought it was going to be $70. I thought for sure, especially because they have the $10 upgrade fee, I thought it was going to be $70. So seeing that they're going with a $50 price tag, not too bad. Still, I could see why a lot of people are like, Still, I'm not interested. But they did reveal that the price of the WLF edition is going to be $100. I don't know if it's sold out already, but pre-orders did go up. I assume they're sold out already. Actually, let me just check here real quick. Oh, no, no, it's sold out. Currently unavailable. I thought it was still up. But yeah, the standard edition is $50. The WLF edition is $100, and there's the $10 upgrade fee. But they say here they're really hyping up this no return mode, and they're kind of like showing off the different classes now. But they gave us some new information on it. If I could find it. Plan, fight, upgrade, and survive through no return, the single player roguelike mode. January 19th. All right, here we go. 10 playable characters, 6 boss encounters, 4 combat modes, unlockable mods, gambit challenges, upgradable skill trees, daily runs. So, honestly, that's pretty good for just like a bonus game mode that they're adding in 10 playable characters, 6 boss encounters, 4 combat modes. The daily runs thing is interesting to me. This is where I feel like we're starting to see some elements of the multiplayer, the Last of Us multiplayer that they were working on, kind of creeping in here. You're saying many people are saying that Sweet Baby Inc. has had connection to GTA 6. My opinion on that, I mean, I'll just say I'll wait to get confirmation because I don't know. Do you like roguelikes? Yeah, sometimes. Yeah. I think Returnal's like a roguelike, right? Yeah, I can get into them. So I don't know. This new game mode from them sounds pretty cool. But I don't know. Like for a $10 upgrade, I could see why some people are excited for it. Certainly. You're saying they are testing to see if they will release the entire game? I mean, yeah, this could be like a little test bed, potentially. That'd be very interesting. Yeah, Returnal is one of my favorite games, so I guess, yeah. I guess the answer is I do like it. But I just wanted to give you guys that little update with The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered, because a lot of people were really trying to figure out, how much is this game going to cost? Is it going to be 70? The fact that they're pricing it at 50 tells me it might actually have a decent chance to sell pretty well, It probably will sell well, frankly. But the no return mode sounds like it's getting quite a bit of love as well. So, yeah, maybe, I don't know, maybe we judged this remaster a little too harshly, or I did. Maybe I judged it a little too harshly at first. Sounds like they're doing everything right here. They're adding new content. It's priced at $50 for people who don't already own it, and it has a $10 upgrade fee for people who do. So, not bad. Honestly, not bad. So yeah, I don't know if I'm going to play it though or not. Right now, I'm leaning more towards no, but maybe I'll give this no return mode a try. I have to think about it because I do like the gameplay of The Last of Us a lot. But I want to move on to this next topic. This is a write-up from Push Square. The title reads, Sony, it's important people who don't play games access our content. Sony wants to reach beyond the traditional boundaries of its PlayStation walled garden and is eager to ensure non-console owners have access to its content. We've slowly started to see this strategy in motion. The company has commissioned television and movie adaptations of its biggest franchises, has ported select software to PC, and has even established a new mobile game division. Speaking with, I always pronounce this wrong. It's Nikkei. Nikkei. Can somebody help me out here? Because I know there's a right way. I know people have told me I've pronounced this wrong. Here we go with my pronunciation issues again. apparently, apparently it was Hideki Nishino who actually was talking um, to them, and he touched upon the strategy in a little more detail and how it can be beneficial to console sales in the long run. He says it's important that people who don't play games have access to our content, and we hope to use movies and dramas as an opportunity to make people want to try PlayStation games. The Last of Us series sales increased when the live action drama version was airing. Anecdotally, we saw a massive spike in our pre existing Last of Us content during the initial television run of HBO's adaptation, so we can certainly appreciate the impact it had. Personally, we're fully behind the strategy. Speaking from the perspective of a PlayStation fan site, we're also eager to reach as many people as possible, which is funny. They kind of plug themselves there. It's Nike. It's Nike. That's how you say it, Nike. That feels weird to me. But yeah, I just think this is worth pointing out here because we know that there is there's been a lot of speculation that Jim Ryan was potentially fired or, asked to retire. It's worth noting that this is like the third individual from Sony that's giving an interview or talking facing the public and talking, and it shows that the strategy that Jim Ryan has implemented and talked about has not changed. And it's very interesting because you would think that if Jim Ryan was fired or asked to retire, we would hear of all these different we would hear these not developers, but these executives coming out and saying, yeah, we're kind of moving away from that, or not even, maybe just not even talk about it as much. But no, like, we're getting reaffirmation here that Sony's plan is to push out further and get the PlayStation brand, the PlayStation IPs out there in front of new faces, in front of new eyes, in an effort to kind of get more people in, to get more people exposed to the PS5 console, to their big games, their big IP and stuff like that. So yeah, I just wanted to kind of go over that because between hearing Hiroki Totoki say that they're still all in with live service games, hearing that they're still kind of pushing out there with mobile, they just partnered with NCSoft, and also now hearing that they're still all in with the movie adaptations, the TV adaptations, and trying to expose more people, PC games, or bring more games to PC, I should say. It tells me that, yeah, Jim Ryan's strategy is still in full play here, for better or for worse, right? Like, I know not everybody's on board with it, but you're saying you're American. It's okay. We forgive you. All right. Well, that's good to know. But guys, I think this is where I am going to end this stream, though, because that was pretty much everything I wanted to go over today. It's interesting because that Bungie topic, again, just kind of came out of nowhere, and I wasn't even planning on talking about Bungie on this stream, but it ended up taking up, I think, not want to say like the entire conversation, but certainly the bulk of it. But interesting stuff happening nonetheless. What we're going to do now is I'm going to move over to the members lounge. I'm going to be doing that today. I have something specific that I want to do in the members lounge as well. So for anybody who's interested in hanging out with me for a little bit, after the stream ends, the members lounge is going to go live probably within 10 minutes. And so, yeah. But as I segue to my outro here, I do just want to once again give everybody a big thank you. Thank you to everybody who has gifted memberships or became a member. Big shout out to everybody who donated a super chat. Again, if it wasn't for the support that you guys show, I simply wouldn't be able to do what I do here, and it's awesome to be able to do it. So thank you guys so much. I also want to give a big shout out to Devil Shooter for doing the timestamps. If you see him in the comments, give him a thank you. When am I going to start the stream tomorrow? I'll probably start the stream a good half hour, 45 minutes before the Game Awards start, so we can hang out and chat for a little bit. All right. But yeah, that's going to do it for the stream, guys. I'm going to set up the members lounge So in the next 10 to 15 minutes, that will go live, and I hope to see you there. But until the next time, guys, take care.